Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. is poised to be the next president of the Philippines, 36 years after his late dictator father was booted out of Malacanang through a bloodless uprising. It's a historic win that ends a well-oiled campaign that sought to revise the past, bury the past, rally for unity, and evade scrutiny. Based on the Comelec's partial and unofficial tally as of Wednesday, May 10, Marcos Jr. leads the race with more than 31 million votes so far. His rival, Vice President Leni Robredo, trails at second place with only 14.7 million votes. Enjoying a wide margin against Robredo, who beat him in the 2016 vice presidential race, Marcos Jr. thanks his supporters on election night for trusting in his message of unity.
Magpapasalamat ako sa mga kababayan ko na nandiyan sila at nagsuporta sila hindi lamang sa mga kandidato, hindi lamang sa aming partido, o hindi sa magandang bukas ng ating minamahal na Pilipinas. At yan sa akin ang pinakamahalaga na aking makukuha dito sa kampanya nito.
Robredo, meanwhile, addresses her supporters at past 2 in the morning of May 10 with a sobering reminder to respect the decision of the Filipino people.
Kaya sinasabi ko sa inyo ngayon, walang nasayang. Hindi tayo nabigo. Pinakamahalaga, hindi pa tayo tapos. Nagsisimula pa lang tayo. May landas na nagbukas. At hindi ito sasara kasabay ng mga presinto. May kilusang isinilang. At hindi ito papanaw sa pagtatapos ng bilangan.
Senator Manny Pacquiao ends up third in the race with over 3.6 million, while Manila Mayor Isko Moreno finishes at fourth place with over 1.8 million votes. Moreno on Tuesday, May 10, concedes to Marcos Jr. and congratulates the late dictator's son.
Ngayon, maliwanag na ang pinili ng ating mga kababayan ay si dating senador, now President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at ganun din si Vice President-elect Sara Duterte.
Marcos Jr.'s running mate, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, also leads in the vice presidential race with over 31.3 million votes. She edges out Robredo's running mate, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, who only garners more than 9.1 million votes. Marcos will lead the Philippines for the next 6 years and will have to steer the country into economic recovery after a global pandemic. Actor Robin Padilla is the country's top pick for senator, besting political veterans and opposition favorites despite having no experience in politics. As of Wednesday, May 10, the action star leads the race with a total of 26.3 million votes, ranking first among 63 candidates. Padilla is a longtime Duterte supporter and a Uniteam guest candidate. Meanwhile, re-electionist Risa Ontiveros barely makes it to the Magic 12, ending up in 11th place with 15 million votes. She is one of 2 female senators and is the only opposition candidate to make it to the Magic 12. Siblings JV Ejercito and Jinggoy Estrada, sons of former President Joseph Estrada, clinched the 10th and 12th spot respectively. The 2 first worked together in the 16th Congress. Newcomer Rafi Tulfo secures the 5th spot. Lauren Legarda, Chiz Escudero, Alan Peter Cayetano, Mig Zubiri, and Joel Villanueva are set to return to the Senate, while Transport Secretary Mark Villar and Congressman Win Gatchalian secure their first terms.
Need more context, clarity, and perspective? Get the full picture with Rappler Plus. With exclusive content and events, you'll get an opportunity to discuss issues with reporters, experts, and featured guests, while helping Rappler continue its fearless journalism. Join now.
The Comelec junks with finality 4 appeals against the presidential candidacy of frontrunner Bongbong Marcos Jr. The en banc unanimously votes to uphold the body's previous ruling in a vote of 6-0-1, saying it found no cogent reason to disturb the findings of the commission. Petitioners insist Marcos Jr. is guilty of moral turpitude after his tax conviction in the 1990s when he repeatedly failed to file his income tax returns as vice governor and governor of Ilocos Norte. They have one last chance to appeal to the Supreme Court, which will rule on the disqualification cases with finality. Several youth organizations and rights groups trooped to the Comelec contesting the validity of Marcos Jr.'s wide lead in the presidential race amid claims of vote rigging. UP, FEU, and Ateneo student councils, along with other student organizations, call for a student walkout in protest of another Marcos presidency. Meanwhile, the Comelec shrugs off allegations of electoral fraud in favor of Marcos Jr. following faulty voting machines and long lines during Election Day. The Comelec believes an upcoming random manual audit would allay voters' fears of electoral fraud. Incumbent Pasig City Mayor Vico Sotto secures another term, winning by a landslide against Vice Mayor Io Bernardo by sweeping almost 90% of the city votes. His running mate Dodot Jaworski also emerges victorious. QC Mayor Joy Belmonte shares a similar fortune, besting opponent Mike Defensor by wooing voters with her COVID-19 response and stance against the ABS-CBN shutdown. As of Wednesday, May 10, Belmonte has 617,908 votes. She is successfully joined by her incumbent Vice Mayor Gian Soto, who also won his re-election bid. Similar trends appear across Metro Manila as re-elections and dynasties dominate local polls. Makati remains a Binay stronghold while the Gatchalians swap posts to retain control over Valenzuela. Meanwhile, Lino Cayetano turned over the Taguig mayorship to his sister-in-law, Lani. The Abalos family of Mandaluyong, the Malapitans of Caloocan, and the Tiangcos of Navotas all sweep the competition to retain their seats of power. Marikina Mayor Marcy Teodoro and Las Piñas Mayor Imelda Aguilar secure their third term, while San Juan and Pasay Mayors Francis Zamora and Emmy Calixto Rubiano guard their city's top spot. Celebrities take to social media to air their sentiments amid the ongoing release of partial and unofficial election results. Actress Angel Locsin, a vocal Robredo supporter, addresses her fellow volunteers and tells them to keep doing good. She also thanks Robredo for inspiring her. Gabriel Valenciano, who popularized Ang Presidente, a Leni Robredo chant, also rallies behind the lone female candidate. Meanwhile, Marcos supporter Alex Gonzaga makes a pitch for reconciliation post-elections, saying, "Sana lahat ng nag-away magkabati na." Singer Daryl Ong congratulates Uniteam by singing the Bagong Pilipinas anthem for BBM Sara supporters. Gonzaga's brother-in-law, Paul Soriano, the man behind Marcos's ads, tweets the Beatles lyrics, #Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Former child star and Robredo supporter John Manalo minces no words and calls the results horrible and disgusting, alleging the country's education system manipulated citizens' minds. Pinoy Big Brother host Bianca Gonzalez, meanwhile, takes to Twitter and urges others to continue fighting disinformation, which she calls the biggest threat to Philippine democracy. The Eraserheads' former frontman, Eli Buendia, a Robredo supporter, also tweets a Mahatma Gandhi quote about despair and truth.